Let us move on to next question. This is a question from 2021. Under the Indian Constitution, concentration of wealth violates what? Does it violate right to equality, or does it violate the directive principles of state policy, or does it violate the right to freedom, or does it violate the concept of welfare? Now let us look at the in-depth explanation. If you recall, the directive principles of state policy are mentioned in the part 4 of the Constitution. So they are the instrument of instructions which the government has to follow when they are making policies. And Article 39 which clearly says that there are certain principles which are to be followed by the state while making a policy. And if you read the provisions, the bare act says that the state shall in particular direct its policy towards securing that the citizens, men and women, equally have the right to adequate means of livelihood, and the ownership and control of the material resource of the community are distributed so as to best serve the common good. And clause C says the operation of the economic system does not result in the concentration of wealth and the means of production to the common detriment. So here very clearly it is talking about the concentration of wealth, avoiding the concentration of wealth, and the wealth has to be equitably distributed among people. So the government has to make policies so that the government can avoid concentration of wealth in just the hands of few people. Now the option also had right to equality. In the Constitution, right to equality comes under Articles 14 to 18, where we have the equality before the law, then prohibition of discrimination, then equality of opportunities when it comes to the state employment, then untouchability and abolition of titles. So we clearly know that the concentration of wealth doesn't come under right to equality. And one more option was regarding to right to freedom. In the Constitution, Article 19 to 21 deal with the provisions of the freedom. And in 19, we have the speech, expression. Then in 19b, we have assembly, then association, movement, resident, then profession. Earlier, the right to property was a fundamental right, but it was removed as a fundamental right in the 44th Amendment Act. And in Articles 20, we have protection from the conviction of certain offenses. And in 21, we have the life and personal liberty. So we clearly know that again, here the concentration of wealth is not being talked in the right to freedom. Now, the only confusing part here in this question is, we clearly know it is not right to equality. We clearly know it is not the right to freedom. The confusion for the students will be between the concept of welfare and the DPSPs. If you understand one thing, if you look at the provisions here again, the concept of welfare as such is a subset of the DPSPs. To give a numerical example, so if this is the concept of welfare, this is the DPSP. So the concentration of wealth is being talked in the DPSPs. So ultimately when we achieve the DPSPs, it will lead to welfare. So the correct answer is B here.